How do you think your background and your culture affected you growing up, or those of your ancestors, especially now as we get into this age where there's a big divide in that stuff?
Well, I mean, my background, just for the context, is like I said, Colombian. But if you're Colombian or if you're from a lot of places in South America, you're not one thing. You know what I mean? It's a big mix, you know? So my background is my mother's parents, my grandparents they come from enslaved people and from indigenous people. My biological father comes from Spanish people, from Spain, and indigenous people. So, you know, like, honestly, growing up was interesting because when you look at my family, my whole mother's side, they're black. They look like black people. But growing up Latino is like, now the way I think of it, I used to think of Latino as a race, but to me now it's like a cultural thing because like you can look like anything and be Latino. But like people would ask me at school and shit when they see my mom, they'd be like, "Oh, I didn't know you were black." I'm like, "Oh, I'm not black. I'm Colombian. I'm Latino." And now it's just funny to think about as a kid saying that because that's fucking ridiculous. Like, no, like you could be a white Latino, a black Latino, whatever it is. So now I'm like kind of within the last few years becoming more and more comfortable with what I am and being aware of what I am. You know what I mean? As far as how it affected me growing up is like, I mean, I grew up like any Latino kid did. You know what I mean? Like salsa music playing on Sundays while everyone cleans and like rice and beans and shit. And like, you know, and I grew up in Bensonhurst, and as you know, it's not very like black or brown neighborhood. You know what I mean? So I was very early on introduced to people from all over. A lot of my friends were Eastern European or Chinese or, you know, mostly Italians. And I think I had a more of an appreciation for my own culture and background and all of that because I was surrounded by people that I couldn't relate to. So I was like this at school, but I go home and I can be me. I can speak Spanish. I could eat our foods, you know what I mean, or watch our shows and do this and that. So I have like a very intense appreciation for my background and my ancestors, my family.
Have you been to Colombia in a minute? Or?
Last time I was born there, but only spent like a year or so there. I went back when I was 5. My mom and I tried to move back, but it didn't work out, so we came back to Brooklyn. I was supposed to go back for the first time since I was 5 this summer, and Corona just fucked me. You know, that sucks. I was gonna be there for like 2 weeks with my family and my sister, who, you know, we have different fathers, so she's half Colombian. It was gonna be her first time, and I was so excited for her to really, you know, have that peace. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Hopefully next year things we'll be able to get over there.
I hope you guys can go over there too.
It's important. Everyone needs to go back to, you know, where they're from.
And those places are so different from America.
100%.
So different. Because Europe, you know, it's different from America, but it also has a lot of similarities. But over there, I've never been to Colombia, but I've been to Ecuador a lot of times. I used to go when my grandma from over there was alive. We'd go every single year to visit her, and it's so different, man. Yeah. Everything is. I mean, you know, it's just how the people interact with each other too. Yep. It's crazy because it's one of those places are usually impoverished, and they're third world countries, and there's a lot of robberies and stuff like that. But then the people here, you walk down the street and someone's gonna grill you. I never experienced that over there, unless someone's gonna like thinking about robbing.
Unless they're about to do something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone's all happy. They'll share this. They'll share that. Everyone's saying hi to each other. And here you don't got that.
I think it's just American culture is not very empathetic culture, and even just in the most mundane interactions, just walking across somebody, there's just a level of like respect and like community and empathy that people in other places have that we might just not possess here. You know what I mean? And it's, I don't know what it is, but like it's just something that actually in the last, you know, 12 months, last year, that I've realized it's like empathy is something that is not very prevalent in American culture. And it's just something I think that we all need, you know, at least a little bit of it, just for the people around you. You know what I mean? You can't have empathy without respect. So I guess we need respect for one another first. And in other places, like there's just a different sense of community. Even in Asia or Australia, New Zealand, like all the places I've been able to go to through music, like and even if it's with people that I've met through the music or just random people on the street, the way they treat you, even as an outsider, they give you that respect. You know what I mean? More so than than their neighbors, because they're like, you're not from here, let me help you. You know what I mean? And I don't know if it's like that over here. Yeah. It's weird.
I think like this city in particular is so populated. It's almost like a dog eat dog mentality. You know, everyone's out to get their own. They need to provide for their family, and you know, like supplies are limited in a way. Like speaking like in terms of jobs and opportunities, because there's so much competition. If you want to go into a certain field, people are willing to do whatever it takes. It's just to provide or start or have something of their own in this city. You know, because financially too, it's super expensive. And I think when you do get your own thing, you have to fight every day to keep it, to maintain it. You know, like you're so used to the schedule you have, and you have to follow that. And like anyone that tries to break you out of that or like interrupt, you know, like whether it be the smallest altercation in traffic, you know, people are just so tense. They don't want anything like disrupting their like.
We're wound up over here.
What they got, you know what I mean?
And I get it too. Like I get wanting to provide for you and your family. Yeah. I understand that. But like you said before, when we were talking about hardcore and family, where the family wants you to be like this and hardcore is more like this, there needs to be a middle ground. And there needs to be a middle ground here. You can provide for yourself and your family, but there should be a level of awareness that you have for the people around you, that you care about them. I don't know how to tell people that they should care about other people. You know what I mean? But there needs to be a middle ground somewhere.
It's just something that's, like you said, it's culturally ingrained. It's hard to tell. You don't just tell somebody that, because they're just, oh yeah, that is a good idea. But then you walk down the street, someone looks at you, so what you looking at? And then, you know what I mean? Or someone steps on your shoe in the train, you're like, oh.
And it's on.
Yeah, over a shoe. But that causes the cycle. That causes the cycle of anger and tightness and depression and random acts of violence. Why is this one of the only countries where there's random, like someone just randomly picks up a gun, I think I'll shoot a bunch of people today. But in other places, it happens, but nowhere near. Like, you know, Columbine was a huge thing, but now it happens all the time.
Yeah,
and it's not a huge, I don't know any of the real actual names of the places where it's happened. Or if I did at one point, I can't remember them off the top anymore, you know. I wonder if you think that this lack of empathy and this kind of situation that we all living in America, if that is one of the reasons why things like hardcore, things like hardcore hip hop, rap music, like all the underground music and skateboarding, graffiti, and all these kind of like counterculture things that, especially in terms of the artistic ones that have to do with letting out the energy that builds up inside of you through this everyday hammering, and it all started in America. And I think that's one of the reasons why, is because if you don't have this driving fuel, then it's going to be hard. I was just listening to before you got here, I was listening to Killing Time and District 9, and I was just kind of really listening to the lyrics. And it's talking about stuff that everybody deals with. It's talking about stuff that we just talked about. Like, one thing that sticks out was Killing Time was like, it's hard to live a life with a back you cannot turn. And it's kind of like that. I don't know exactly what he meant by that lyric, but it's kind of like that, yo, you're living this life every day and you got to just always be aware, and there's crazy motherfuckers outside. I'm on the train thinking, yo, I take this thing 4 times a day, 365 days a year. One day the train door is going to open and someone's going to be like, blah, blah, boom, and just shoot me in the head.
Maybe.
It could
especially now.
Especially right
Statistically
now.
speaking, that could happen.
I'm like, yo, I'm like reading on the train yesterday. I'm like, bro, this is going to be my demise one day. Just sitting on this train, someone's open the door and be like, yo, you made $50, dead ass. And then just shoot me. And that's going to be it, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of good to have a level of like awareness.
Yeah. On pointness, yeah.
I mean, that's what comes with living in a big city too, especially New York City. It's not like it was in the 90s, 80s when, you know, older hardcore bands or our parents or whoever was around. And I'm happy about that. I hate people being like, man, I wish New York was like gritty again. Yes. Nigga, what? People were getting fucking chopped up on the fucking train. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember like a year or so ago, there was news about some dude going around the trains, like giving people like $1.50s. And that was crazy news. But I'm sure in the 90s, early 2000s, 80s, what have you, it was like, it wouldn't even make the news because it happened all the time. I don't want that. What if my sister goes to school in the city and she's getting, I don't want that. That's not cool to me. I get it, but like, nah, that's whack.
It's the same thing. Like, it's one thing to be aware of yourself and, you know, feel responsible for yourself. But like, I think about my mother, you know, when she takes the train, or like I see these crazy videos, dudes pushing like old women into the tracks. I told my mom, like, yo, these people don't care how old you are, that you're a woman. Like, they don't care.
These people are crazy.
You can get caught up in a crazy situation, and it fucks with my head, like thinking like she's out just doing regular things, and I'm like, yo, this world, why do I have to think this, man? This is insane.
It's fucked up, man. Like there's a lot of cool things about New York that maybe aren't as commonplace now, but the random acts of violence, that's not one that I want to make a comeback at all.
Yeah.
People who say that are people that live 2 hours east on Long Island, or people from fucking Nebraska who just moved to Bushwick.
Well, I think you know, it is a cool thing. I'm putting cool for anyone listening to this, just audio and in quotes, because it is a cool thing to be like, I'm from insert place that's pretty much a street war zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool. That's a you know, it was glorified in everything, in all the music, including hardcore. You know, like Warzone, Lower East Side Crew. Lower East Side was hell on earth. Or it's not that they're trying to be cool in that sense. They're just proud of where they're from. You know, this where we're from, where we're representing, and or even in hip hop. You know, I mentioned in the Gory podcast, like Capone and Noriega. They're standing in front of their buildings, but that has
a sense of pride too. You know,
and that has carried on to now. And then people move here. And they're like, well, I want it to be like that so that I can say, hey, it's just not anymore. And you should, like you said, you should be happy. Yeah. Because we talked to dudes like, we were talking to John Joseph, and bro, you couldn't.
Yeah, of course. He's one of those guys. He's seen shit, I'm sure.
You couldn't do anything. And it's
prime example.
Not cool.
It's not.
You can walk around with a ring on every finger, fresh as hell. No, the chance of something happening to you in the LES is so low.
Especially in the LES.
Yeah. But hey, for the people out there listening that want that shit to come back, there's some places we could take you. Probably, you could show up to Brownsville. I'm sure. Taste, exactly. There, if you could look for it, you will find it. You know what I mean? But that's not something you should want.
No, it's not. Because what is it? It's just street violence at the end of the day, usually fueled by poverty. So why would you want either of those things for you or your family or your day-to-day living?
It's just so they can go on Instagram and be like, oh my God, someone got shot on my block today. Okay. Kill yourself. I hate that. Go back to fucking bumblefuck cornfield you came from.